My son lives in Israel and works with the International Committee of the Red Cross. When the Hamas missiles were being fired at Tel Aviv, he was messaging us that he and his wife were okay in their tiny, safe room. His dog was totally distressed. My son goes down regularly to the Sderot and the other places on the Gaza border for the Red Cross. Why is the suffering of innocent civilians being attacked, innocent Israeli civilians being attacked, and the Hamas being ignored?
Randa Abdel Fattah.
I'm so happy that your son has a safe house to go to. If only Gazans had the opportunity to escape the most densely populated place in the entire world. And it's been under a blockade by Israel for 14 years, cut off from the rest of Palestine. It got absolutely no freedom of movement. And so when you have a military power backed and funded by the US, $3.8 billion a year, you have the state-of-the-art advanced weapons, dropping bombs on civilians, and you're talking to me about the safety of Israelis? Where are Palestinians in Gaza supposed to go to? Your son's puppy, your son's dog was scared. There are children who are massacred and slaughtered. 9 Palestinian families have been wiped off the civil registry. Just yesterday, there was a tweet about that. 9 Palestinian families no longer exist, obliterated. And you're talking to me about Israeli safety? Israel has state-of-the-art weapons defence system and missile defence system. Where do Palestinians go when they are being bombarded by the IDF, by one of the most powerful nuclear powers in the world? Where is their protection? Where are the people there to protect them from that onslaught? And Israel is targeting civilians. Yes, it is targeting civilians. Israel has access to, because it is the occupier, the population registry for Palestine. So it has the names, the ages, the residential addresses of every single Palestinian in Gaza, which is why it can make a phone call to say we're going to bomb this residential tower at so-and-so time.
Randa, I'm just going to take us back to the question, though, which was about...
In my view, needlessly, this wasn't a conflict that needed to happen.
Why did it happen?
The proximate cause was that Hamas started to fire rockets at Israeli civilian populations. And that's really, Israel has a right to self-defence.
When you say Israel has a right to self-defence, what you're actually asking us to embrace as a proposition is that an occupier and a coloniser, a state that is based on a racial apartheid system...
I don't accept any of those characterisations.
Well, the most prestigious human rights organisation, Human Rights Watch, found in its report last month that Israel is practising apartheid.
To be clear, they talked about a form of apartheid. I mean, they weren't calling it an apartheid state.
Hamish, if Palestinian intellectuals, activists, lawyers have for years been recording, and Israeli human rights organisations, that Israel is a settler apartheid state. It is an apartheid state that preferences one racial group over another. It is infused in every single aspect of its legal processes, its ethnic cleansing, its depopulation processes, its military occupation, its brutal military occupation in the West Bank, in East Jerusalem, in Gaza, its brutal siege on Palestinians in Gaza. Even it affects Palestinians in the diaspora. My father is here today. He's older than the State of Israel. He was born in 1945. He has experienced 3 Nakbas, 1948, exiled in 1967, and today the ongoing Nakba. He cannot return to his house, which is still there, because he is a Palestinian. When we return as a Palestinian, we have to go there on our Australian passport, and we're at the mercy of a soldier, a conscript, who will decide whether we can enter. He gave us 3 days the last visit. Any Jewish person in this audience today automatically has a right to return and live in my father's birthplace. Don't tell me that's not apartheid.
Jen Robinson.